So tell me the story of this guitar.
So firstly, the first place I actually played a guitar like this or fell in love with this style guitar was in Florida, and when I went into a music shop.
Wow.
And so I was there with my husband and kids, and I couldn't afford it at the time. And so I was like, okay, let's see what happens here. Came home, and a couple of years later, I bought it. Really happy, looking after it like it was, gold. And then I was walking around with it, but this slipped off.
Oh,
and
no.
I wasn't holding it. And so this fell and went crashing on the floor.
And that's what made
this happen, much to my dismay. But then I asked the Musicians Union, who I'm insured with, to fix it for me.
And they sent you another one.
And they just gave me another guitar, so now I have two.
One with
and this one is still not fixed.
But it still does the job, it feels like.
It does. Well, that's why I bought this one with me on the plane, to be honest, because if it's broke, it's broken.
Right. The least, right? The least amount of damage to your collection.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you're here in Providence at Brown.
Yeah.
But how did you get here?
That story is very long. I've been working in England for a long time as a musician and an educator. And I work at a university in London called LCCM. I also have a friend who I met years ago who, when she came to England, her name's Dr. Charisse Barron. She worked here.
Right, so this is, I know Charisse, I did not meet Charisse, but Charisse and Anango started with Black Music Lab together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, and they were basically, she was saying, look, we need someone like you at Brown because we don't have that at Brown at all. Yeah. Because when she came to England, we kind of got together. She was playing, I got her involved in music, and she was just loving the whole vibe, and I was in charge of, like, at church, and I got her gigging in so many different places, and we were just, like, working together quite a lot. So that's kind of like, she was like, I'm going to get you to America, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I got this email in 2022, I think it was, and I felt like I was being fished, because I was like, this sounds weird, going to work in America for whatever, blah, 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 at one of the universities. And I was like, you got loads of musicians over here, what do you want me for? Anyway, it wasn't a fish. Because next minute I got a call from Charisse who said, you should be getting an email. And then that's how that's how the ball started getting rolling. Yes.
So pre-Brown, pre-LMCC, or LCCM.
That's it.
Yeah. How did you get started in music? Where did you grow up? What were your initial influences? How did you get to this point?
So I grew up in church. So I loved drums. My sister's a singer. She's older than me. And every time she sang, I used to cry. Not for the bad reason. But just because she sang with passion. And I guess in church, a lot of the time, that's what's happening. Lots of people are singing from places of maybe distress, happiness sometimes, kind of every emotion into a song.
Sure.
Right? And so, obviously, being a kid, even if I didn't understand all the emotions, I liked what it gave me.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do that for people. I actually wanted to do it for myself. I wanted to feel like that. And so I fell in love with music. And that's kind of like where it started for me. Then drums was, I always looked at the drums and I was like, yeah, I want to drum. Because, drummers just looked like really into it. And, because I was quiet, I wasn't really loud. Drums could kind of be my voice, that kind of...
Yeah, I think it's the most physically, or it seemingly, I can't say for sure, but it's like externally it feels like the most physically involved.
Absolutely. I mean, because it's like independence. So you've got like one hand doing one thing, another hand doing, you got your leg doing this and another leg doing this. And then obviously to keep time, you're kind of, so everything's like, ooh, everything. And it's like, how the heck do you do that? But it's just cutting your brain into 4 pieces and figuring it out.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you started with drums. When did you transition to guitar? Can you play everything? When did the bug really catch on?
When you say everything, do you mean every instrument or every genre?
Well, maybe that's not the right question, and maybe the question is, what all can you play?
That's a better question, because I definitely can't play everything, as much as I'd love to be able to. So I started playing drums, then I went to bass guitar. I started doing that when I was at school, because there's a load of drummers at church, and bass players are not very, there's always a few bass players, and so I could always get a chance to play. So I love drums, kept playing drums. Drums were my passion, but I also started playing bass. I had piano lessons as a child as well, so I play piano a bit. But don't ever ask me to do a gig on piano.
Okay, heard.
Put me in
Next
the studio,
time I come
right?
calling, I'll be like.
Yeah, no. I can put stuff together in studio, but
Sure.
Yeah, that's as far as it goes. And then I always sang on choirs, but I was quite shy. So, but my sister, who was in charge of the choir, she's 4 years older than me, and she was in charge of the choir when I was quite young, and when she was quite young, and she was like, she'd always get me to try and sing leads, and I was like, I just want to play the drums. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even want to be in the choir like that. Because I love playing the music. But anyway, I started doing that. So I kind of started having vocal training unintentionally because I was in the choir. And so, that's kind of where my passions lie. I love acoustic guitar. Actually, little secret fact of mine is that I played guitar before I started playing bass, actually. I started on a guitar, but bass just did it for me.
Yeah.
I think I like bass because it controls the environment.
Yeah.
If I want someone to go like this, I just need to go. I can make everybody do what they want, so that's why.
They all have these characteristics that they bring, and I think that's it speaks to this anesthesia of music.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I want to go back to this, your involvement with church. I'm from South Carolina. I grew up in Pentecostal church. I grew up with, to your original thought about every emotion came to the plate, right? It's dismay, it's anger, it's fear, it's exaltation, it's spirit-filled praise.
It's grateful, it's thankful.
Yeah, it's like the entire spectrum
Yeah.
of emotion brought out. When did you sing in the choirs at church? Did you ever end up leading a song? That was a big part of my childhood. I had one solo. I sang Emmanuel.
You gonna sing it for me?
I am not gonna sing it for you, but maybe off camera. We'll get there.
We'll do a duet.
Yeah, but I was always aware of its control over my body, and it's also like the way in which I leaned into the emotions that I felt that you were just mentioning, that were brought out by the singer. So how did that have an effect on your musical influences, your upbringing? What did you gravitate towards in songwriting? How did that shape your
I mean,
style?
For me, I just wanted to play drums. If I'm really honest, I loved it because of, like I said, that all those feelings it gave me, and I saw people move into it, and I was like, gosh, this has got so much power, and I loved it, and it made me feel good. I guess when those emotions then, when I couldn't play drums, I guess it made, or when someone else was playing, it was someone else's turn, I still wanted to be involved. And so a different way of doing that was a bass guitar, and another way of doing that was a voice, and another way of I just, if I couldn't do any of those, then it was a tambourine. Do you know what I mean? It was I became consumed with this feeling that music gave me, no matter what it was. When I was at home and I was listening to the music that I was learning, I was just engrossed. I I just got obsessed. And then I think I still am, because I probably sound really emotional now, but it's because that's the kind of thing that music does for me. I can sing a song and it will console me. I can sing a song and it will excite me. I can play a beat and it will just give me vibes. You know, I can play a bass line and everyone around me is just like, oh,
Bumping.
what's that?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like music has this way of communicating every emotion without saying a word, and that's sort of that was my personality when I was younger. I was quite quiet. And so without saying anything, I could show people how I felt. And so that's why, you know, that's how I teach. So you said, did I direct choirs? Yeah, I did. And weirdly, you know, by the time I was 13, I was directing choirs at church and stuff like that, and leading, you know, people. And, you know, my ears are great. You know, I didn't even know that when I was growing up.
Yeah,
I could teach somebody like a 3-part harmony in 10 seconds, you know, like, everyone ready? You know, I was teaching the whole song, and people are like, whoa, that was, you know, and I didn't realize how fast it was until I applied to work at a company, because, again, I was desperate to work in music. And in England, working in music is kind of easy and hard to get into. You have to know the right people and all that. So I was at a place where I was like, I just wanted to do some music, and I didn't want to do a normal job. And so I saw this ad. It was like, I never look in newspapers. I really don't. So when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh. And it was this job at a company. And they were looking for people who could sing and direct. And obviously I've been doing that since I was 13, so I could do it with my eyes closed. So I was like, yeah, this is easy. So I went and I did it. And it was at the Royal Festival Hall in London.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, so it didn't start at the Royal Festival Hall in London. We went into schools all over London. And then that culminated in over several years in 1,000 children a night singing at the Royal Festival Hall in London. So families and all that. And I ended up writing a lot of the songs. I ended up, you know, and at that time I just, because I wasn't, and this is why I say the story, it goes back, because if we start at the beginning of that, me right before or in the middle of me directing choirs and all that stuff, I also started a group of singers called Ecclesia, and we have albums and stuff, and we toured a bit and we traveled a bit, and so because of that, I started writing songs, and my first song wasn't written by me. It was written by a really good friend of mine called Isaiah Raymond Dyer, and he will always be someone I will mention in my life, because much not like other people, I said to him, look, I need a song, and can you help me write a song? And he was like, look, I'm going to write your first song for you, but after that you need to write your songs. You've got it inside you. And he said, and he knew. Yeah, he did know. And that's the kind of, this is why I want to be that kind of person, somebody who sees you, encourages you, and pulls it out of you. Because that was beautiful to me, and I'm never going to forget him for that, because he was awesome. And so because of that, I started writing songs, and then that ended up being a part of me writing songs for these thousands of children over thousands of years of doing over like a span of, I think it was about 10 years. And we were doing those concerts, and we arranged bands and all this kind of stuff. A guy called David Lavelle, and David put me in charge of like a lot of the stuff for his company. And again, another great guy who was selfless and saw something in me and allowed me to just explore myself in the musical realm. And so I did that. And then, I was directed. So I directed a lot of choirs, and then bands as well. You know, I was MD for loads of different bands. Yeah. So when you say, I guess teaching became part of who I was, and so I started loving that as much as I loved music. And so being able to put the two together in university in London, and now coming here and sharing that with my students, is something that excites me. I love my students. I love teaching. I want everything for them to be great.
You know how to bring an interview around full circle. That was a damn good switchback. That was good.
Probably the inner workings of my brain trying to figure out where am I going.
Yeah, no, that was good. I love that. I think what I'm hearing is like you're a vessel, right? Like you have these like formative moments throughout your childhood and throughout your young adulthood that really formed your craft, formed your influences, formed your skills into what you're able to offer to our students, what you're able to offer to your students in London, and so on, and everyone you come in contact with. So, wow, I'm learning the breadth of Nadine Lee in this moment.
Yeah, I guess, like I said, you know, you have good moments and you have moments that are not as great in life, and you kind of, I guess, everything that I've done or experienced has made me feel like I want to give people something that they can hold on to, like hope. I don't like, you know, bringing people down. I think that everyone has a gift, and if they're in the right place, and if everyone's in the right place, then we will work great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I'm not gonna lie to you, but I am gonna encourage you, and that's what because that's what I wanted as a child. There were some people like Isaiah who were like, yeah, but being a woman, being black, being British, I mean, you know, I've probably fit into all the minorities. So if you're hiring someone for that, I'm probably your person because I could tick every box. You know what I'm saying?
You're the perfect quota filler.
I am literally. You know what I'm saying? So I have had moments where I'm like, man, this doesn't really feel good. How I'm being treated because of maybe more because of being a woman, or you know, lots of different people approach you in different ways because of my you know, underestimated me. And that's why, you know, my next album, one of my songs is The Underdog, because that's literally when I walk into a room, I'm seen, and I'm underestimated from the minute I walk into that room until I may do something, and that's when someone's ears prick up. And that's one of my pet hates in life. I think you should let someone come into a room and be themselves freely, not have to prove themselves to you.
To come as they are, meet them where they are, and let that be exactly how the engagement is.
Create an environment that's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I feel like we have really similar shared experiences, but they're also very different. But it's like, whenever we walk into rooms, what are people going to think of us, and what are people going to expect of us, and how do we have to adjust accordingly, which is like painstaking work, and something that we shouldn't have to do, and something that we really need to discontinue as we leave rooms, as we support folks, as we enter spaces and hold spaces.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I'm from South Carolina. I feel very clear about my lived experience as an African American. How can you share about your growing up being a black woman in London? I don't know as much as I thought I did after previous talks with you. So can you share with me that experience? We were briefly talking about Windrush, and I had no idea what it is. And I feel like so many of my colleagues here share that. So many of my friends here share that, and that I've never heard of it before you said it. So can you shed some light on this for me?
Absolutely. I mean, Windrush was... So England, at the end of the Second World War, was obviously, you know, in a bad state. So they needed help, mainly with like transport and nursing and factory work and all that kind of stuff. And they didn't have the workforce. So what they did was they approached the Caribbean, because they were in charge of those countries anyway. Everyone had British citizenship, you know. Yeah. Britain's
for better or worse.
Right? That's a whole other conversation. But they approached them and started asking them to come to the UK to rebuild the country. And so what they then did was they got this big boat and said, look, pretty much the streets are paved with gold in England. We can give you work. We can give you this. We can give you that. You know, and you come over here and help us. And will
take care of you, will
Yeah.
support.
Yeah. So that's what happened. Windrush, the boat, they got them on that boat, brought people over. Some people came on the boat, some people came on planes. I think it was around 1948, it started. And then people started to come, and I guess more and more people came as time went on. And I guess around the same time as like the whole civil rights movement was around, 10 years later, I suppose.
Yeah, right.
We were having similar experiences with race and with fighting for who you were. Even though we came to help the country, we were being treated like we had invaded the country. So it's like being asked to come to dinner and then being told, why are you eating my food?
Right.
And so that's how they were started. And so that's how a lot of, Caribbeans came to the UK.
Wow.
So for me, like, my gran was born in Jamaica in 1910. And then she had my mum. But when she came over here in 1950. Sorry, not over here. She came to England, or went to England in 1953.
Wow.
And then my mum came 5 years later in 1958. So I'm first generation that was born in England for my mum. So Windrush is quite close for us. And my mum's experience of being here when she was young is that she came and she worked in a factory. She also had an experience where obviously in Jamaica they were Christians, and so she wanted to go to church. So she went to a British church and she was allowed in, obviously. She sat down. When the service was finished, the minister came to her after the church service and said, thanks for coming to the service, please don't come again.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that was an experience for my mum, obviously, because she's like, God loves us all, what's going on here?
Right, this is the one place, right, where all of that should not, what's
happening. So that and anyway, so Windrush was in England. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about Teddy Boys, but Teddy Boys were these guys. They had like those kind of rock and roll kind of, I don't know.
Mohawks or
Mohawk, but not rock and roll mohawks. More like that 60s kind of
flare,
smart jacket.
I got you.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were quite racist as well. So they would they had things thrown at them. It was literally like what was happening during the civil rights movement, but just in a different way. We have like a slightly
same shit, different country.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like, being born over there, going into my experience, for me, because I'm the last of my mum's 5 children.
Baby
so
girl.
Right. So my brothers and sisters probably had a worse experience than myself because they were the children of these people. So their experience was that our parents felt like they had to protect their children, and so when asking to do normal things with their friends who weren't the same colour as them, they were more scared, not because they didn't want them to be around them, but they didn't know what they were asking them for, and
Absolutely.
because of the experience that they had, they were like, ooh, and my siblings are like, my mum never let me do this, mama. But then when you think about it and you look at why, you're like, I can see that. But then by the time I came about, again, things were calming down a little bit. So at school, it wasn't awful, but I still, weirdly, I have a version. I talk about the 3 different versions of me, because I had a church version of me, I had a school version of me, and I had a home version of me. And the church version of me, let's start with the school. The school version of me was, you're going to school, you're a black kid in a white country, and you're like, there were not that many people like you, but at least you had a few. I was lucky, I had a few people who were different races in school, so Malaysian, Pakistan, so I was a little bit, but I still felt like they're all different to me, because I was the black one. I had the woolen hair. I was. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
Yeah.
and so it's like, whew. But I got over it because everyone was nice by that time, except for one experience where I had where these two guys, were not nice to me. I won't explain the situation because it's long, but they weren't nice, and that was just. But I got over it because I guess I was resilient. And only when I think about it now, I'm like, oh, that. But
you have
nice.
To be right. Like, I'll just stop. Full stop. Like, you have compartmentalized yourself into three people for survival. You have to steel yourself as you enter all of these spaces that require so many different things from you. That is like innate resilience in Black women. Full stop. So
It is, and it's difficult because I went to church, and like I said, I grew up in a neighborhood that wasn't predominantly Black, and my mum did that intentionally because she wanted me to grow up being able to make sure that I could handle each situation that I'm thrown in. And so then when I went to church, that's where I found my Black people, and I was like, and it was totally different. So eventually I invited one of my friends to church, but it was scary because I'm like, what are they going to think? They're going to think we're crazy.
I never invited any, like in my 18 years of attending every Sunday, I never invited one white friend to.
Because we're naturally, we're just passionate people. Whether you go to church or not, and it's quite, if someone says hello to me in church, they're like, hello, it's like, whoa, it's quite, and obviously in England, they're quite polite, and so that would be like, ooh, they might be scared.
There are folks falling out over there, speaking in tongues,
right.
The pastor's going off in the corner.
And so the two were like, just separate, right?
Yeah.
And then I went home, and I had that version of me that everyone knew about. Everyone knew about. But then I had the me at home that I could be in my own space, because I had my own space. So I could literally that was my moment to figure out who I was going to be, so that I could then start to build this version of me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it kind of, the different versions of me, I'm hoping have now come together to make one.
That's the hardest part of living is, or at least I'm finding for me in work with therapy. But like, how do you, the worlds that I've built for myself, the worlds that we build for ourselves, how do they eventually merge for our own personal thriving and growth? And that is like the hardest part of like moving forward.
And I think with me, I decided to be that home version of me, because then everybody would then that I'm around would then just get me.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's actually quite inspiring for you to say that, because it's like I am trying to figure that out for myself, and like, what is this home me? What is this, like, I have the school me, the church me, the soccer me, the like work me, the all of these things, and I feel like in this, tangent here, but like in this work as I'm moving to a new place, as I'm navigating this new landscape, like how do I come as like the home me?
Well, this the great thing is the home me is the warm me. The home me is the me that I'm vulnerable and free. I'm just myself, and I'm happy with being just myself. And if I can be happy with me, then I believe that everyone else can be happy with me, as long as I know that the me that I'm trying to be is somebody who I was created to be. And I believe that I was created to be loving. I believe that I was created to be creative. I believe that I'm put on earth to change somebody's life and to inspire somebody to be something. Because I'm so passionate about it, because growing up, I was sometimes confused about what that version of me was, because growing up, I wasn't that normal girl. I was a girl, I liked drums, I liked bass guitar, I liked singing, I liked dolls, I liked cars. I was just inquisitive, and I think you know, people put people in boxes, or everyone's got a box for themselves these days. And I'm like, why do we have to have a box? Why can't we just be, and that's okay? You know, why do, you know, you want to put me in I don't want to be in that box.
Right.
Because there's a different side of me somewhere else. And so let me just be me, and you just accept me, and I'll just accept you, and then we can be okay. And if
the $1 million question. It's like, how do we get to that place where we're like we talked about before, that we show up as we are and we receive people as they are, and like it is just that, right? Like our truest version of ourselves. I just have to say, it's like I'm like so emotional sitting here next to you as you say this.
Wow.
Yeah, and like I feel it when you're in class. I peer up from the tech booth, right? But like it's quite evident the space that you make for folks wherever they are in their quest for their home selves. And it's quite powerful.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. Gosh, you're making me emotional now. But I really do like to create spaces that are safe. And the reason I like to create spaces that are safe is because I wish I had someone who cared enough about me to give me those spaces. And when I have met those people along the way, I've cherished them, and I've kept most of them, which is why Dr. B is one of my great friends. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been friends for, I think, about 20 years now. And
wow.
Yeah, and we literally met by accident. And it was like we were just two people who were looking for the same things. And we've now grown together. So when she comes to England, she finds me. Wow. When I've come to America, we find each other. You know, it's
like kismet, right? It's like fate, and
and so people like that I will cherish, no matter what they do. You know, she could punch me in my arm tomorrow, I'd hug her straight away, just because they are worth it. Sure. You know, and that, and yeah, that's my quest. You know, my quest is to share love and to let you be yourself.
Right.
Do you, boo, you know?
Yeah, thank you. I will. You mentioned your mom. You got to, what is her name?
Her name is, well, being Jamaican, let's just say Joyce.
Joyce, okay. Heard. Got it.
Yeah.
Is she a musician? Is she a singer?
She sings in the church choir.
And what did you watch her sing just as you did your sisters, and did you have the same response? And
well, my mum's not. She hasn't been a soloist. So when I was growing up, she wasn't a soloist. She used to sing in the church choir, and she was in charge of. She was always so she started off being the ladies' secretary. Then she was the whole church secretary, and the building that they have church in now is basically because of my mum's brilliance in terms of all that kind of thing. And so the reason why my mum is vital in this situation, because I spent most of my time at church. You could call me a church mouse, because she worked there. I'd go meet her after school.
Right.
You know, I'd be there Monday, Tuesday. Monday was prayer meeting. Tuesday was choir practice. Wednesday is Bible study. Thursday, I could tell you even now it's in my head.
So, you don't lose it. I must admit. I know the days. My father led Sunday school. He was on the finance committee.
Right?
We had the Bible study on Wednesday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, and then it got to a stage where because I was studying computers and stuff. And I was finishing college, and I had got into uni to do computer networking, programming, and I was going to minor in music. But then I found this course that I wanted to do was all music, and obviously that was like, what the heck are you doing, child? You know, my mom was like, no way. Because and this is what I put it down to. She didn't know how I was going to survive doing music, because obviously, you know, everyone wants to be a musician. Everybody wants to this. Everyone wants to that. And so for the first time in my life, because remember, I was this quiet child. So the first time in my life, I decided I wanted to do something like that. And my mum was like, no. So for the first time, me and my mum were like, what? We like, literally, I couldn't believe it. We were arguing about stuff.
Wow.
And again, I was a really compliant, very well behaved child. So for that to be happening, you know, that was like
that's big shit.
Yeah, exactly. So eventually, you know, my because I'm not a raw type, so I needed my mom to calm down so then we could have a conversation. And I think that's one of my superpowers. I can't fight like that. I can't fight where everyone's going. I don't have that in me, but I can have a discussion, and let's look at everything on the table, and let's see what we got and whatever. And eventually, Mum, she came back to me and she spoke to me, and then she said to me words that I will never forget. She said, "Nadine, I'm gonna let you do this because it's your life, but if you're gonna do this, you have to do this properly. You can't half do this. So if you're going to do music, you need to know everything there is to know about music so that you can survive." And she threw it all the way back at me. And that was the moment in my life where I was like, you know what? She's actually right. Because kids don't really realize that their parents are their crutch when you're living with them. They pay the bills, they do this. Even if you're paying your mobile phone bill, who cares? You know, mortgage, like in England we have council tax, this tax, but you guys got more taxes than us. I feel sorry for you guys. But
maybe I need to move. I need to go.
Right? So I think at that moment, that was my adulting moment, because I was 17, 18, and that was my adulting moment, thinking, wow, when you're not paying for my life anymore, will I be able to live? And then I was like, what's the cost of that? So then I went to uni and I did music. And my mom and my grandmother worked hard so that I could get there. And then I passed my courses. I did what I had to do, had some blips in my courses where I was like, help. But then I got what I needed to get, and I did what I needed to do. And then I started to work my double snakes off so that I could actually be where I am today. And that is attributed to the women that I saw. Because remember, and this is where we go back to Windrush, because that's when I look at my family, and my gran came over to England so that when I get older, I could be me, this version of me. If she didn't do what she did, I wouldn't be here now. And so for me, it's very vital that no matter how much my mum might have told me off when I was a kid, or what I felt, or any of the stupid thoughts you have as a child against your parents, I have to say to my family, those who came before me, I'm grateful, guys. You guys have done a lot. So all of that, the whole generation, salute from me, because without them, I could not, honestly, not be me now. And so I respect them. I see an old person, I'm holding that door. I'm opening the whatever, because those are the people that I don't think we respect them enough, because they gave us a lot, you know. And they went through a lot of crap. And sometimes, even when they're grumpy and upset, I get it. You're still working out all the crap that people were putting on you. So I get it, you know. It's like, that wasn't fair. And because of you, I didn't have to go through all of that.
Right. So you be mad.
Yeah,
you stay mad.
You can be mad. It's okay, because I get it, you know. And I think a lot of my generation don't necessarily understand why they are who they are. And I think we could probably get a lot from
There's
learning.
a lot in the there's a lot that's never mentioned, that's unspoken, about what our elders and our ancestors have done for us that we will never know. Yeah. And I appreciate you saying that, because it takes a lot to, like, we may think it is disrespectful, or that they hate us, or that they're doing it because, you know, they don't want something for us, but it is really for our protection,
and
for our
they
care.
just don't understand it. They're just trauma.
Yeah, and so meet people where they are. Yeah,
love them.
Yeah, see them as they are, as their home selves. Yeah. Wow, thank you.
Thank you.
This has been great. I appreciate you sharing.